Why the fuck is there so many letters in Wednesday?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of letters in there.
Oh, that shit say Wednesday. It don't say Wednesday. It says Wednesday.
Memes aside, for real, why do we, speakers of the most English language on the planet, Englandish, use this war crime of a word to denote when we're halfway through the work week? I did the research for you. As many of you already know, it has to do with this guy. No, not Sir Anthony Hopkins. This guy. Or this guy. That's the Norse and Germanic god Odin, or Woden. And that's the simple answer. But we don't do simple answers here on He Who Is Steve. So let's go all the way back to the ancient land of Mesopotamia, where dwelt the Babylonians. The Babylonians were one of the earliest, if not the first civilization, to adopt a 7-day week based on chopped up sections of the lunar cycle. They named their days after the celestial bodies in our solar system that are visible to the naked eye. What we know today is the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. Now, these planet names are Roman in origin, but we'll get to that in a minute. To the Babylonians, of course, they were named after their gods. Shamash, Sin, Nergal, Nabu, Marduk, Ishtar, and, well, Saturday's a little unclear. It may not have even had a name at all, due to the Babylonians possibly considering every 7th day to be unlucky. It was a whole thing. What we do know, however, is that when the ancient Jews adopted this 7-day calendar, which just so happens to correspond to their 7-day creation myth, they named the 7th day the Sabbath after their God's day of rest, and that'll come up later as well. When Greek scholars later adapted this 7-day week and its convention of naming the 7 days after the 7 visible planets, they substituted their own gods for those of the Babylonians: Helios, Selene, Ares, Hermes, Aphrodite, and the Titan Kronos. Later on, the Roman Empire, who literally could not stop cosplaying the ancient Greeks, also adopted this system directly from the Greek tradition, and substituted their own already derivative Roman pantheon for the Greek names, in a process known as Interpretatio Romana, in which the Romans would recontextualize legends, practices, and other cultural markers from other civilizations to fit within their own established mythos and dogma. So the days in Latin become Solus, Lunae, Martis, Mercury, Jovis, Veneris, and Saturni. With the expansion of the Roman Empire through conquest, so went the expansion of their culture and customs, and indeed the Roman days of the week exist in various forms throughout Europe today. Take Spain, for example, with their weekdays of lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes. That's weird. Anyway, eventually the Romans came in contact with the Germanic people. The Germanic people said, yeah, cool calendar, but see these names? Dumb. All the names of all the gods? Completely wrong. Who wrote this? Give me that. See, the Germanic people out-interpretatio Romana the Romans. They took the Roman days of the week and renamed them after corresponding Germanic deities. So Mars, the Roman god of war, becomes Tu.
Bless you!
Thank you. Or Norse Tyr, also a god of war. Mercury, the god of, among many other things, messages and communication, becomes Odin, the god of, among many other things, knowledge. Jupiter, king of the gods who would rain down thunderbolts, becomes Thunor or Thor, the god of thunder. And Venus, god of love and sexy times, becomes Frigg or Freya, goddesses of love and sexy times. The sun and moon are easy, but Saturday built different. You see, the Germanic people took one look at Saturn and said, big guy, large man, kill father, try kill own children. We like this guy. We don't have anybody quite like him. We're going to keep him. Except in the Norse countries. In Old Norse, they called it Lagerdager, meaning washing day.
Guess what they did on that day?
But I'm going to be honest, it's a lot more fun to say. Lagerdager. Lagerdager. A Lagerdager. Fun fact, it's also called washing day in the Maori language in New Zealand, on almost the exact opposite side of the globe. Underground trans-world tunnels don't exist, Steve. That's you. That's how dumb you sound. So we go forward a couple hundred years, and Old English ends up with Sunnendag, Månendag, Tuesdag, Wodenisdag, Thunrisdag, Frigidag, and Saturnisdag, which become the days we all know and love today. And you see this kind of thing all over. A lot of cultures adapted days in a similar fashion to the Germanics, substituting their own gods. But some only adapted 1 or 2 days. Like in Albanian, Thursday is Eente, after the fire god En. Guess they don't have lightning in Albania. And Friday is Epremte, after Prende, the Albanian pagan goddess of love and fertility. Shoot, even the Germans got rid of Wutenstag and replaced it with Mittwoch. I wonder why the Germans would want to cover up their history. Probably the most famous example of this is the Christians. See, when basically all of Europe became Christian, tons of the Romance languages changed their names for Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, the first day of the week and the day most people go to church, became Dies Dominicus, or the Lord's Day. Saturday, the day after the traditional work week, became the Sabbath, the day of rest. Oh my God. But basically all of the languages and all of these cultures in all of these countries left these dirty pagan names for the days in the middle of the week. You know who didn't though? The Quakers. That's right. The Quakers, or the Religious Society of Friends, refused to use the heathen names for the days of the week. And their founder, George Fox, started a movement to change the use of pagan vernacular in everyday Christian speech, as detailed in his 1687 essay, How God's People Are Not to Take the Names of the Heathen Gods in Their Mouths, nor follow their customs, nor learn their ways. And he was hardly the only one. Around the same time, Richard Baxter, a famous dissenter of the Church of England, was quoted as saying, It were to be wished that the custom were changed of using the names of the weekdays which idolaters honored their idols with, as Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and the rest, and so of the months. Now, while much of the world ended up using the 7-day week developed by the Babylonians, and much of the Western world ended up using an adapted form of the Roman naming convention in one way or the other, a lot of cultures took one and left the other, making their own unique naming conventions. One of my favorite ways to say Friday, for example, comes from a Western Apache dialect, and translates as driving home, or killing, depending on what dialect and what source you're consulting. Quite a bit of space between those two. The Manipuri language of northwest India names its 7 days after parts of the Sanimahi creation myth. And I have to say, blood flood is the most metal way to say Friday I was able to find. It's no wonder it led to the popular phrase TGIBF, or Thank God King It's Blood Flood. So that's the longer story of why we call it Wednesday. And if you ever find yourself complaining about the weirdest name day in the English language, just know it could have been a lot worse. You could have been calling it Weenies Day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.